What does luxury mean? It's about comfort,
And the ambience.
rich materials, the latest of technology at your fingertips.
Basically a place that feels super plush but still feels like home.
Did you say home? Luxury on wheels has been redefined, not only in terms of comfort, features and tech, but it's also evolved to electric.
And the cars we have with us today represent the pinnacle of electric luxury. This is the Mercedes EQS and this is the BMW i7. Over this video, join us on a luxurious journey.
With Nikhil in the driver's seat and me in the back.
The differences in the two start even before we get inside. The two are large electric limousines but take very different approaches to design and styling. And that's partly down to what lies under their skins. You see, the i7 is based on the same platform as the 7 Series and hence shares the same hardpoints and resultantly has the more conventional sedan silhouette. But it's clearly no understated limo. The split headlamps, that oversized kidney grille that even glows at night, and the contrast theme on the bumpers really announce your arrival. Love it or hate it, you just can't ignore it.
The EQS isn't an electric S-Class. Rather, it's built on an EV-only platform and uses the design flexibility that such an arrangement allows to the fullest. The short bonnet and cab-forward stance establishes the EQS as something very different. And the slippery shape also grants the Big Merc the best aero on any production car. The organic elements, star-spangled front panel and light bars only add up to the style quotient. Which of the two electric limos do you like more? Let us know in the comments section below. And also do subscribe to the Autocar India channel for the latest automotive content.
We'll start our moving evaluations with the BMW i7, and it sure does welcome us in with style with its powered doors.
Now, after some back-to-back driving and testing both the cars, what I can tell you is that the back seat of the BMW i7 is the more comfortable place to be. Let's start with the seat itself. They're larger, the cushioning is much softer, it's more comfortable. You have a good amount of recline as well, so it's very easy to get comfortable in these seats. Now, you may not have as much leg room as one did in the EQS, and visibility to the front is not as good as it was in the EQS because you have this very large headrest over here. But there's a solution for that because I can just use the executive package, fold away the front seat, have better visibility and stretch out and get really comfortable. And while I do that, I can have a massage as well in this back seat because it does have variety of options for massages. And I have to say that on a very hot day like this is the aircon that works much better, especially here in the rear seat.
While Renuka was chilling at the back, I decided I liked the i7's cabin. What I can tell you is more traditional in look than the EQS's. It feels more conventional sedan, but it's still huge on glitz and glamour, and part of that glitz and glamour comes from these crystal-like elements on the dashboard. They also feature lots of ambient lighting, and there are these cool themes which change the lighting, the sound profile in the car, and it is quite a quirky but fun touch. I'll get to the sounds in a bit, but the light show is just brilliant and even extends to the roof. The lighting isn't distracting and drivers will also take easily to the screens up front. Now the 12-inch screen, very nice to use, very easy to refer to, and it packs in quite a few cool bits as well. For instance, there's augmented reality. So if you have a destination set on your map, this will actually show you turn-by-turn directions on a camera feed. so you literally cannot take the wrong turn. Then you have the touchscreen, very nice, very slick to use, but perhaps packs in too many features. More shortcut buttons would have been a big help. On the plus side, you don't necessarily need only touch inputs. You have a rotary iDrive selector, so that does make life a little bit easier on the go. But let's be honest, these aren't things of concern for the big man or woman sat at the back. They'd be too busy with the other screen inside.
Let me show you. Yes, it is grin-inducing. A 31-inch screen to watch whatever you want. The screen runs Fire TV and can also be plugged into your devices via an HDMI port. Sound is channeled through an 18-speaker Bowers & Wilkins system that includes speakers in the headrests. It's literally your living room on the move, and there are even more screens at the back. So to operate the screen, the blinds, and the massage function, all three of which the EQS does not have, I have this very cool little touchscreen right here at my fingertips, and there's a host of other functions as well on this. Let's take a look. The screens integrated on the doors also operate music, phone, sound, and light modes. But which is better when all you want is quiet time in your car? Refinement, I think both cabins are pretty much on par as far as sounds that filter through. Like you hear the expansion gaps at the moment. Very similar, and I think a hair's breadth difference between both the cars. But what does happen a lot more in the i7 is that you feel the road imperfections filter through to your seat. It definitely feels more granular. You know what's going on under the tires. And in that sense, this ride is not quite as refined as that of the EQS. But on the flip side, that firmer ride means when you are at higher speeds, this car stays flatter and far more composed. And what that also means is you can watch your favorite shows on a high-speed highway journey. Personally, the large screen at the back gave me a bit of motion sickness.
Renuka, now that you've finally spoken about the back seat and that big screen, can I please shut it, because I cannot see anything behind. This doesn't have a digital screen here, so my view is completely obstructed.
Absolutely, Nikhil, because for someone like me who has motion sickness in the back of a seat, and you keep putting me here when we do these test drives, this is just not the best thing for me. So drive smooth, because otherwise there might be an accident.
To quickly run through some facts and figures, the i7 is powered by a pair of motors, one at each axle, that produce a combined 544 horsepower and 745 Newton meters. That's a slight power advantage over the EQS, but the Merc has a big torque advantage. Performance-wise, you really won't be lacking, even though the i7 is actually down on torque figures. There's just a very easy access to the power. Press down on the accelerator and you get this measured build of power. But at times when you press down hard, it sort of comes in this rush of power, which can catch your rear seat passenger off guard. Check this out.
That really did it.
And when you really want to scare them, you have a boost pedal which gives you 10 seconds of all that the motors have to give. So I have 6 seconds more. This is sports car quick. The numbers will tell you the story. 4.5 seconds to 100 kph and a sub 10 second 160 kph time. There are other grin-inducing facets to the i7 as well, such as the modes that alter sound profiles. Check this out. I'll put the car on expressive mode. Just hear the sound now. It's like you have your personal violinist who's just giving a soundtrack behind. The Hans Zimmer composed sounds are quirky and cool, and everyone has their own take on them.
You know what the other one sounded like? You know when they used to tune their accordions? Like that.
Okay, now talking slightly more serious stuff. The i7, as Renuka has already pointed out, it feels a bit firmer set than the EQS. But the positive of that is that there are fewer movements when you're going faster. It feels more composed at higher speeds, and that is particularly more enjoyable from the front seat, where this car feels like a big BMW should. Thing is, i7s will spend most of their time in city confines battling the worst of our roads. On speed breakers, the i7 has an advantage. Now you won't need to really tiptoe over speed breakers as you would in an EQS, but on the larger of the kind, you will need to raise the suspension. The good thing is that the suspension lift shortcut is right here, so one touch and it gives you the clearance you need. You will need to be very careful on the larger speed breakers. You'll also hold up traffic when making a U-turn, and that's despite the i7's four-wheel steer. It's a big car and sure feels it from behind the wheel. There are lots of gizmos to aid parking though, including a maneuver assist that can memorize the path to a parking slot and completely do the job of parking for you. It's something that might make your trusted chauffeur uncomfortable about future employment.
On that note, switching over from the BMW to the Merc. No powered doors here, but the EQS does get you door handles that pop out as you swipe them. Inside, the EQS feels very different to the i7. Now, because we're used to the regular S-Class and just having done the back-to-back comparison with the BMW i7, I find that the back seat of the EQS just doesn't pamper you as much, and let me tell you why. For starters, I don't have that executive package where I can fold away the front seat and stretch out in complete comfort. I don't have sun blinds. There is no entertainment screen at the back here, and there is no massage function in this back seat as well. So yeah, no pampering like the i7 for the rear seat passenger. Now the seats themselves, the seat base is quite short and it's not as large and comfy as the back seat in the i7. But you do have a flatter floorboard over here, so you can get the third passenger in much easier, although the seat contouring is really not suited to having a third passenger in this car. You do get more leg room in this, and on its own the seat is quite comfortable. You can stretch out and you can recline the seat a fair amount. So it is actually easy to get comfortable, but it just does not match up in this comparison. A special mention must be made to the pillowy soft attachments on the headrest that make the seats feel that touch more comfy. Other than that, another difference is that the sloping roofline of the car can make it tight for taller passengers, and the window area is smaller than that of the i7. This light coloring of the cabin does make it nice and open and airy, but as you can see on this floor, it is a dreadful pain to keep clean. Every time you get into the car or your foot brushes the seat in front, there are marks all over the place. And you do have the armrest here in the back seat. You have vents, AC vents, which keep you quite cool, but not as cool as in the back seat of the i7. That AC works far more efficiently, especially on a hot day like this. I do have a set of controls over here. Let's take a look at what they are. You can access lighting, the ambient lights, the seat, and comfort setting, and you can use it as a regular tablet to surf the net too. The tablet isn't cutting edge though, and frankly, you do miss rear seat entertainment screens.
Now, while Renuka doesn't have any screens at the back, I have three, which together give you a hyper screen. So you've got these 12-inch screens for me, the digital dials, and for the front passenger, and this massive 17-inch screen right at the center. And these screens really give this cabin massive wow factor.
I'd have to agree with Nikhil there. The wow factor in this cabin is up front.
The main touchscreen is fantastic with excellent touch sensitivity and crisp and colorful animations. Again, there's too much packed into the screen, as I'll demonstrate in a bit. But the screens and ambient lighting sure make the EQS interior look and feel special. And that's not it. You can tell that there is a clear bias towards the front occupants in this car because no massage there. You get massage seats up front. And of course, the real thing to enjoy in the EQS is the performance, which is right at the touch of your right foot on the pedal.
Nikhil is having a good time.
The source of that smile-inducing performance? Two electric motors that give a peak output of 523 horsepower and 855 Newton meters. Now, performance-wise, both cars are really good, but the Merc has an extra 100 Newton meters or so, and you can feel it because it generally feels like it's got a more sustained push of power, and that's really likable. To put it in terms we are more familiar with the cars with engines, let's just say with lesser pedal effort, the Merc does more. Under full bore acceleration, the EQS is quicker to 100 kph, but by the slightest of margins. In either car, acceleration is thrilling and very unlimo-like. The Merc does come across as the sportier car to drive though. Around the corners, the EQS feels like a smaller, tighter car than the i7 does, and I like the feeling that you get at the steering as well. Of course, you can enhance the experience with sound effects. The EQS doesn't get you as many sound profiles as the i7 does, but it does sound rather cool in sport mode. So hear this out. It's what I can describe as a futuristic electronic moan. It does sound quite cool.
It also sounds like the car's protesting to what you're doing to it, Nikhil.
If you so choose, you could turn off any artificial noises and peace out in the calm inside.
And I'd have to say that both cabins are pretty equally matched on refinement levels as far as cutting out the sound goes. But the difference really is in the way that this masks the road imperfections, as I said earlier. Nothing filters through to your seat, so you don't feel any vibrations. You really don't know what's happening beneath these tires. And in that sense, this cabin feels that touch more refined. You'll also appreciate how the EQS shields you from the happenings below. The EQS is the softer sprung of the two cars, and that makes this ride quality really plush. We just went over a speed breaker there and I barely felt it. This just glides over the road. So low speed ride, definitely a massive big thumbs up from me. It is extremely plush. But as you pick up the pace, that softness does show. You do get a lot more movement in this car, but still it's never uncomfortable. Nothing filters through to the passenger. You don't feel anything on your seat. It really does feel like the plusher ride of the two.
It's not quite as smooth sailing for your chauffeur though. Now, Renuka spoke about ride comfort being better on the EQS, but let me give you the driver's perspective. Because when the road really deteriorates or you have this big speed breaker to take care of, you will be very tense in an EQS, and that's because of how often it can bottom out. Yes, you can raise the suspension, but again, it's not as fast as you'd like it to be. It's a two-step process. So first you go to the physical button, then you press raise vehicle level, and by that time it's often usually too late, and you'll hear this terrible noise from the bottom of the car. Not the sound you'd want your boss sitting at the back to hear. A cool feature that is included on the EQS is a geotag. So every time you raise the air suspension, you get a prompt asking if you'd like to save this location. So every time you are back, it'll raise the car automatically for you. Remove the speed breakers from the equation and it's the EQS that does feel easier to drive. Now, if you're going to be driving primarily in congested city conditions, an area where you will find the EQS has a clear edge is in maneuverability. Now, it's got more in terms of what the rear wheels can do in steering angle, and that gives it a tighter turning circle. That really makes a big difference in town. The EQS's advantage is down to its rear wheel's ability to turn up to 10 degrees, while the i7s can turn to a lesser 3.5 degrees. However, you have to subscribe to the EQS's rear wheel steering and pay to unlock it, even though the hardware is already built into the car. There are some other quirks and features on the EQS too. There are ADAS functions on the EQS like you get on the i7, but one of them is not quite configured for Indian conditions as well as it should have been. Active brake assist is just too sensitive for our road conditions, and that is pretty much the first thing you will want to put off every time you get into this car. One bit that I really like on the EQS that you don't get on the i7 are these paddle shifters to control the levels of regen braking. It's just right at your hands, and even the automatic regen level where the car selects the right level of braking works really well. What doesn't work all that well are the actual friction brakes. I find myself needing to put more pressure on the pedal in terms of an emergency stop, so that can take you by surprise at times.
So that's what these two are like to drive and be driven in. But how far can you go with them? It's the EQS with the bigger 107.8 kilowatt-hour battery that betters the i7 with its 101.7 kilowatt-hour battery pack in this section of the test. In town, the EQS gave us a range of 432 kilometers to the i7's 396 kilometers. Out on the highway, the Merc will do a real-world 536 kilometers to the BMW's 489 kilometers. Both of these are great numbers as far as EVs go.
Both models support really fast DC charging, though most owners will likely only use the public charging network on the rare out-of-town trip. 22 kilowatt AC chargers supplied with the cars will be the go-to solution for most owners.
On airport runs is the EQS that offers a lot more luggage room. If you remove the spare tire, that is. The BMW's 500-litre boot is accommodating too, and nope, there's no spare tire here.
Neither car offers a frunk. In fact, the EQS's bonnet doesn't open at all. What we've learned over the day is that the i7 and EQS take the story of the luxury limousine forward in different ways. The i7 takes the more traditional route, putting the emphasis on the rear seat passenger. Seats extended, backrest recline, that's the way you'd want to travel after a tough day at the boardroom. And the very special seating can be enjoyed in silence or with your own theatre on the go.
The EQS, on the other hand, is best enjoyed from the driver's seat, and in that sense appeals to a younger buyer keener on driving than being driven. The Merc feels sportier, it looks it too, and from behind the wheel, it's the one that feels easier to drive.
While these are the broader personality traits, the BMW i7 is fun to drive in its own right, while the EQS is comfortable as a chauffeur-driven car too. So, which is the superior electric luxury limousine? For the money no object kind of buyer, it's the better rounded BMW i7 that you should sign that check for. The disclaimer is important because the fully imported i7 comes in at 1.95 crore rupees. That's a full 36 lakh rupees more than what the locally assembled EQS 580 will set you back by. See what you get for what you pay, and it's the Mercedes EQS that whooshes ahead.